Eyewitness News begins with breaking news.
A lot to get to this evening. We have been closely monitoring breaking news all day. A New Orleans deputy constable and a property manager were shot in New Orleans East while serving an eviction, and breaking in just the last hour, confirmation of an arrest. Good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining us. I'm Sharice Gibson. Katie is on assignment. Now, we have multiple crews covering this story from the scene of that shooting to the moment those victims arrived at the hospital. And now a developing scene in Mid-City where authorities arrested a suspect after a standoff. And we head there to Mike Pearlstein. Mike, when I was out there, it was a very, very active scene. What can you tell us now?
Well, very active is right, Sharice. In fact, the scene is still active here in the 3200 block of Iberville. You can see the officers are still processing this scene where an apprehension of the suspect in the constable shooting was made at about 2:45. The area, we don't know how the suspect made it from eastern New Orleans to this area, but once police traced the suspect to this block, the area was swarming with officers. The heavy police presence included the NOPD SWAT team, several canine dogs, along with help from the Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Office, and several federal agencies, including the FBI and the U.S. Marshals. We saw drones, we saw a helicopter. It was a massive scene that actually put Warren Easton on lockdown for several hours. It stopped traffic along Canal Street here in the 3200 block. But like I said, eventually they apprehended the suspect, apparently without incident. No injuries reported here, although we are still trying to understand how the suspect came to arrive here at this house here in the 3200 block. Now, we were able to speak to a woman who was at the scene, trapped inside of the police perimeter.
I couldn't go left, right, behind me, or in front. So I got out of the car, then I saw a SWAT team, and then I saw drones coming out, things I have only seen on television. Then Jefferson Parish, 2 vans, and someone told me one of the guys was a negotiator. It really looked like a negotiator. And then I saw them bring a young man in handcuffs walking down the street.
Now, we are still waiting on details of the suspect who was taken into custody. We don't yet have a name, but the good news, of course, is that both of the victims in the shooting were reported to be in stable condition at the hospital. Now back to you at the desk.
Team coverage continuing with Meg Ferris from the scene of that shooting that happened earlier this morning. She got to that neighborhood, Meg, a short time after it happened and has been there most of the day. Meg, can you tell us what you saw when you arrived?
Absolutely, Sharice. Whereas Mike was talking about his scene over by Warren Easton is very active. Here in New Orleans East, everything is now quiet. But for a few hours today, the streets in front of these apartment complexes were jammed with police and federal agents in protective gear. It was a coordinated manhunt on the scene midday Wednesday with multiple NOPD cars, SWAT trucks, Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Department with its helicopter above. There was also ATF, the U.S. Marshals, and FBI on the scene. The search went door to door and car to car looking for the person or people who fired shots at a constable, striking him in the upper shoulder, and a property manager hit in the torso. It happened after a constable and a property manager got a warrant to evict the people living in this apartment at 7890 South Coronet Court in New Orleans East. That's when shots were fired. The 2 wounded were taken to UMC, and we're told doctors were able to stabilize them.
We have a 53-year-old, 6-year veteran, also a retired NOPD officer, and he's a constable now, sustained a gunshot wound to his left shoulder. He is in stable condition. We also have what we believe is a 36-year-old property manager who sustained a gunshot wound to the chest. He is also in stable condition at this time.
One neighbor here says she knows the constable.
But I hope he's all right, because he have kids too, you know. This man doing his job and almost lost his life. Because he's very well known in the Carrollton area. He's well known. So, you know, this kind of messing with everybody right now because he's very well known in the Holly Grove area. I grew up like an uncle. He was a good guy. Good guy. It's just getting wicked out here, especially out here in this area here in the east. I hate it here.
Now, since all the police and the federal agents left, we've seen three things happen. We saw a fire truck come and clean up the concrete, clean up the area. We also saw a city tow truck come and remove one of the cars. And we saw one of the working canines come, and we imagine that dog was looking for casings. Reporting live from New Orleans East, Meg Farris, Eyewitness News. Back to you, Sharice.
Meg, thank you so much, and thanks to Mike earlier. This is moving very fast in this investigation, so we'll continue to follow this story closely. Stay with us for the latest here on Channel 4, as well as on our website, app, and our social media pages.